Welcome to the Knits and Beads podcast. This is episode 13. I'm your host, Lorelei Erdo. I'm a jewelry designer who knits in her free time. And I am coming to you from upstate New York, in central New York, actually. If you're a new viewer, welcome. I hope that I can interest you to come back again. This is a predominantly knitting podcast, sometimes a little jewelry thrown in for good measure. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. So it's Monday. It's my regular podcasting day. I almost didn't podcast this week. I was thinking I wasn't going to have anything to show you, and then it's as it turns out, after I wrote 2 pages of notes, that I actually have a lot of things to talk about today. So I'm going to go ahead and keep my regular weekly schedule of podcasting. I'm just looking at my notes here so I don't forget to tell you anything. You can find me on social media. I'm on Ravelry and Instagram as Lorelei Erdo. I'm on Facebook as Lorelei Hill Yerdo. I have a Facebook page for my business. It's Lorelei Erdo Jewelry. I'm on Etsy as LorelaiErdoJewelry.etsy.com. I have a website, LorelaiErdo.com. I have a blog. If you want to read my blog, it's a jewelry blog. Sometimes I throw in some knitting, but I try not to do too much. I try to keep that predominantly jewelry. But it's Lorelei1141.blogspot.com. I'm also on Periscope, and my handle is at Lorelei Erdo. I don't Periscope too often, but once in a while I do. And I'm seeing a big influx of people periscoping in conjunction with their podcasting. So I would like to do a little bit more of that, but we'll see what happens there. There is a Ravelry group for the podcast. If you log into Ravelry and go to the groups tab and do a search, it's under Knits and Beads Podcast. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to talk a little bit about this week in business. As I said before, I'm a jewelry designer, and I create jewelry and sell it online. That is the majority of my business. And lately, it's been really, really hard. Really hard work. A lot of ebbs and flows in business, as always, but for some reason right now it's pretty quiet on that front. And I'm just, whenever I go through these little episodes of ups and downs, there's all this self-doubt, and I just don't know if what I'm doing is the right thing. And then, I think about going back to work, which is very scary when I actually really think about it. And I actually did some searching just for a part-time job, and there's not much out there in this area. So, I'm still creating, and I still have the drive to create new things and fresh things. And a lot of times I'm inspired by things that I've made in the last 10 years, and being inspired is not ever the problem, but it's just trying to figure out how to keep creating but also keep selling because the selling is what needs to happen in order for the mortgage to be paid. So I am an author. I don't know if you're new to the podcast and you don't know me. I've been making jewelry for 10 years. Back in 2012 or 13, I forget now. It's been about 3 or 4 years since I co-wrote a book with a friend of mine called Bohemian Inspired Jewelry. The royalties of that book, which I thought would, kind of last a lot longer than it has been kind of disappointing. So writing another book, I just don't know if that's in the cards at this point, but you know, even getting myself to blog on a regular basis has been really hard. And now that I'm knitting, I feel like the knitting takes over my brain and all I want to do is sit around and knit. And I know that that can't happen. So, you know, just being self-employed and having a small business and selling something handmade, it's just so much work. It's really hard lately to stay motivated to keep doing that work and to keep coming up with new things. And so yeah, lately it's been tough. I keep hoping that tomorrow's a new day and it's going to turn around, and it hasn't turned around yet, so I'm just wondering what the next step is and what to do next. But yet, I'm comatose and all I want to do is buy yarn and knit. So that makes it even harder. And I'm asked all the time, I don't know if you guys have been knitting a long time, you've probably had a lot of people ask you, when are you going to start selling your knitted things, you know? And I'm asked that so often, and I just keep telling them I'm not going to sell it. That's not in the cards. Not only for a copyright kind of perspective, which that's the main reason why I'm not selling anything I'm knitting, is because it's all copyright patterns that I'm purchasing from artists online on Ravelry. And I know that's a huge no-no, but it's I have to admit it is tempting to think about, you know, possibly selling knitwear. But I just know that I would never be able to get the amount of money that I would need to get for the hours put in to knit something. So, speaking of knitting, let's just move on to FOs. I'm going to pause here and get my tea. I have discovered my new favorite tea. I'm drinking this out of a nice little mug from Anthology. This is my most favorite thing ever. Tailors of Harrogate. It's a UK-based tea, and this flavor is sweet rhubarb. And it is amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. But the problem was I had to order it online, and it took a very long time to get to me, as it does when it's coming from the UK. And now I'm already halfway through this box, and I wish I had bought more than one box. It comes with 20 tea bags. I highly recommend it if you have an option to get this easily. I wish I could just order it on Amazon, but I can't for some reason. I haven't been able to find a good US stockist, so it's delicious. Okay, so finished objects. I have a finished object. I am so excited to show you this. Oh, I finally finished my Southern Spirit wrap by Joji Locatelli, and here it is. It should have been about 70 inches long, which I think I'm lacking about 6 inches. I stopped knitting. I had to be done with this project. It was going on for way too long. Oops, that's the back side. So Saturday, it was such a beautiful weekend. Well, Saturday was. Sunday was rainy. But I knit a lot this weekend. I knit a lot on this on Saturday, and I just pushed through until I finished it. I just knit and knit and knit and knit and knit. And then I had all of those ends to weave in along this edge. So that took time too, to get those weaved in and then blocked it out. And I'm really, really happy with this. So the yarn I used, the yarn that the project calls for is a sport weight. But I ended up using a fingering weight yarn. And this is Yoth Yarns. And this is the little brother, which is a fingering weight. And it's a merino nylon cashmere blend. So it is so soft, so soft, so nice. I highly recommend this yarn. I used about 1.5 skeins of salt, which is the light gray, and about a half a skein, if that, of cracked pepper, which is the dark gray. I used a US 7 needle, and I started knitting this on my 40, I think it's a 40-inch cable, Chalgu red lace, size 7 metal needles. And I just felt like the yarn and the needle weren't working well together. It was very slippery, and I wasn't enjoying it, so I switched over to my interchangeable set, which is Knitter's Pride Symphony rosewood needles, and I enjoyed the process much more when I switched to this needle. So definitely a wood needle with this yarn is my recommendation. I really recommend Yoth Yarns. I will definitely be buying from them again. It is really nice, solid color. They don't have anything in the way of variegated or tonal yarns. It's a very solid color yarn, but beautiful colors available. And it's kind of reminds me a little bit of quince, but maybe just the next step up from quince because of the cashmere content. So it's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful yarn. Beautiful project. It just took me a really long time. I don't know if it was just the fact that it was a stole shape, but it seems like I'm doing this was the first shawl I've done in a fingering weight yarn, and I'm doing another one right now that's more of a crescent shape shawl, and it's going a lot quicker. So I don't know what it was. I guess I just kept putting this down and starting new projects, and then it was tough to get back to it. And I think for the first half of the project I wasn't enjoying it as much because of the needle being metal, but then once I switched over to wood it was a little better. And then so anyway, this is a paid for pattern. It's $5, Hoagie Locatelli on Ravelry. It's a very easy pattern. I recommend the pattern. This is probably, I didn't make any mistakes in this other than when I did the cast off, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So as far as, you know, I didn't drop any stitches, everything seems pretty even, my stitching seems pretty nice and even. I just think that the outcome is beautiful, and I really am happy with it. I'm happy it's done because I've been enjoying wearing it. I wore it yesterday. The chevron stripes are nice, and if you know anything about me, I love everything asymmetrical, so this asymmetrical kind of patterning is just right up my alley. I love it. Let me put it on for you so you can see how it looks. And I just like wearing this like any kind of shawl. It's nice. Oh, that feels good. I'm going to keep that on. The bind off, I just have a couple things to say about patterns in general. I don't understand why pattern writers don't give you a suggested bind off, because there are so many to choose from. I didn't know what to do when it just says bind off loosely. So I started off binding off using Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. I don't know why I chose that one. I just figured it was the best option when I was looking through my bind off, cast on bind off book that I have. But once I once I started binding it off, I realized that that wasn't the right one, because it was like, I wonder if I could show you what it looked like. That's my cast on edge. Here's my bind off edge. So yeah, this is I did about that much, and it's floppier. I ended up switching at that point and started just doing a regular bind off where you knit one and then slip the stitch over, or you knit two, slip one over, knit the next stitch, slip one over, knit the next stitch, slip one over. So just your really basic bind off, and that was definitely the bind off to do. I just wish that patterns would say, give you a suggestion as far as how to do it or what to do. So anyway, that's my finished object for the week. Very happy with it. Well, this is all monkeyed up now. I'll just leave it like that. So I wanted to mention the mistake that I had made when I did the bind off. Trying to see if I can even see where it happened. I think it happened right about here. I was about this far into the bind off and realized I had dropped a stitch, and I already bound off all of the edges. I didn't know what to do, so I stuck a little stitch marker, like locking stitch marker, onto the stitch so it didn't get any worse. I finished my bind off. I picked up the stitches as I could with a crochet hook, and then I just had to wing it. So I think I cut a little piece of yarn, linked it into the dropped stitch, and then weaved in all the ends. I don't know. That's what happens when you're self-taught. You really don't know what you're doing. No one's around to show you how to fix an issue like that. So it's all right. I think it's secure. That's all. I just wanted to add that in. As far as works in progress goes, I am working on a couple things. So let me just show you my progress on my cardi. I'm doing this. This is in my Mrs. Brown's bags, by the way. My little Grouchy Cat patterned bag. I love that bag. This is a pattern by the Brown Stitch, which is Elizabeth Smith. It's a short sleeve cardigan. I'll insert a better picture for you so you can see what it looks like. It's a nice summer project. It called for a yarn that had some linen in it. So I chose the fiber company Savannah, and it's a nice blend of linen, wool, some silk. I really love the yarn. I'm pretty far. I have to wind another couple balls of yarn. Hopefully I have enough yarn. So I have gotten to the point where I'm ready to separate, to start doing the left front panel, and then putting all the other back stitches and the right panel on some scrap yarn. So that's where I'm at this point. I'm sure it's going to grow a nice amount when it blocks out. It's garter, so you know there's a lot of play there stretch wise. But I love the color, and I know I'm really going to love wearing this. So this I'm definitely going to try to start pushing myself a little bit harder to get that finished so I can enjoy it this summer. I'm also working on test knit, secret test knit. It's a shawl. I'll show you the progress I have on it so far. I'm using Zen Yarn Garden Serenity 20. It's a fingering weight, and it is the Burning Bush colorway. It's got texture, it's got some lace, and I'm just working along. So I'm hoping to get this finished very soon so I can talk to you more about it. And I'm looking forward to the pattern when it comes out. It's really beautiful. I don't know if I can tell you the name of the designer, so I'm not going to yet. And if that designer is watching this podcast and it's okay to mention that, I will. But I just didn't want to say more than I should. So that's that project. Oh, and I'm keeping that in my Jenna Rose handmade bag. It's a nice little linen bag. Jenna Rose Handmade is on Etsy. Handcrafted in Canada. And then finally in my Daisy Said owl bag. I love this bag. Look at how cool that is. Nice little handle made with a zipper. So unique. I'm not using the grommets at this point for this project, but I love that they're there. Okay, this project is exciting. So I don't know if you follow Helen Stewart or her Curious Handmade podcast at all, but she is doing kind of a knit-along shawl pattern. Her pattern is called Spindrift. And she's offering a workshop, and the pattern was free when you signed up for the workshop. So basically the workshop is a series of emails that land in your email box with all kinds of tips and tricks on choosing yarn, on figuring out gauge, on reading the pattern, on blocking, very helpful stuff. Kind of hold your hand throughout the process of knitting the shawl. And then there is a group in her Ravelry group, Curious Handmade, the Spindrift Shawl Knit Along, and you can show off pictures of your shawl progress and be entered for prizes. So I ended up seeing the shawl on Instagram because I follow Helen's Instagram, and I just fell in love with the shawl, and I was like, I need to do that right now. So I signed up. I've been getting the emails. They're fantastic. And I love this project because it's a one skein project, and the way that Helen writes her patterns is a little different than other pattern writing, which I really liked. It kind of breaks it down where you weigh the ball of yarn throughout the progress just to make sure that you're at the right spot so that you use all the yarn that you have and you don't go over. I am using Woolen Vine yarns in her Wolka base, and this is the Love Song colorway, which is based on a Cure song, which I love the Cure and I love the color. This is beautiful yarn. This is a wonderful MCN fingering weight. Love it. Wait till you see it knit up. It's amazing. Oh, it's amazing. I have been obsessively knitting on this. I knit on this all day yesterday, and I got a lot done. So basically, this is the back. This is the top edge. It's got nice little eyelets there. And then I'm now in the lacy section, which is the border. And I have about 3 more repeats to go. But just look at that. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So beautiful. Oh, it's so soft and squishy. Love this pattern. Love it. I don't have anything bad to say about this at all. I am knitting this on these new needles that I talked about last week. I believe I talked about them last week. These are my Nina needles from the Tulip Company. It's a Japanese needle and they swivel. And at first it didn't really matter. The swiveling didn't really matter. But now that the shawl is taking up most of the cord, it really is helpful. It doesn't get all twisted up and tangled up. So I really like, and I love these needles. They're bamboo and they are nice and pointy sharp. Love them. Love them. Definitely recommend. These are a size 6. I should be done with this in a couple of days and get that blocked out, be able to show it to you next week. I'm so excited about it. So yeah, if you want to check out her workshop, I believe it's still up and available. You might want to sign up. You'll get the pattern for free, and then you'll receive the emails in your inbox, and you can join in the knit along fun in the group. So thank you, Helen, for writing such a great pattern. I'm excited to be participating, and also thank you to Kristen for creating such an amazing yarn. This is just fantastic. So yeah, that's that. Cat in the Hat. Put this back in my bag here. Next, I want to talk a little bit about some yarn acquisitions that I recently got. Since we're on the topic of Wool'n Vine, I ordered another skein of her yarn just because I am loving that pattern and then also loving that base. The Wolka base is amazing. And I think I'm just an MCN girl all the way. I just love it. So I was able to snag this skein of Neptunia in her last update. And just look at that color. I mean, that is summer right there in a skein of yarn. And I love these little specks of dark plum against that neon yellow green. There's some teal in here too. Oh, it's beautiful. So beautiful. I don't even know how I snagged it. Her updates are intense. So I got that. And then I mentioned last week I hadn't gotten the yarn yet, but I finally got it. I placed an order with Madeline Tosh. I love Madeline Tosh. It might be my #1 favorite yarn so far. And it's always consistent and always really, I know what I'm getting. When I see it online and I get it in the mail, it's exactly as it's pictured, which is really nice. So I ordered 2 skeins of this. This is Feather. It's a fingering weight. 80% merino, 10% alpaca, 10% nylon. This is 420 yards. And it is the Floorboards colorway. And I hope you can see that color okay, because it's amazing. It's beautiful pale pinks, purple, and cream. And both the skeins are a perfect match. They're just so consistent. This Madeline Tosh does a great job. Beautiful. No idea what I'm going to do with these. No idea. But they are amazing. I also got 2 skeins of Madeline Tosh Euro Sock. And these are fingering weight, 435 yards. and it's a 100% merino wool. And this is the horoscope color. Oh, just look at those colors. Oh, it's exactly as it's pictured on the website too. Just gorgeous. I fell in love. It's got flecks of orange, magenta, navy, gold, pink, purple, like a deep plum. Little bits of white showing through. There's some green. I mean, just every color. But just the way it's speckled is amazing. I'm so excited about this. I have no idea what I'm going to make. I always say that, but it's probably going to be a shawl because I like shawls. And really, I hear a lot of people say, how many shawls can a girl have? All of them. I will knit shawls from now till eternity because I love them. I just love knitting them. So why not? Why the heck not? Next week, I will have new yarn to show you because I have placed a couple orders from some new hand dyers on Etsy. So hopefully you'll see my yarn that I receive. I got a couple of skeins from Stranded Dye Works. And Amy Green is a really great podcaster, so you should definitely check out the Stranded podcast. I also ordered from the Cyborgs Craft Room. Beautiful. Beautiful yarn. I can't wait to get that. And also Hedgerow Yarns out of the UK. I ordered a couple skeins from her as well. See, the problem was last week I was sick. And it was when I'm sick, I spend a lot of time on the couch with my phone, and internet shopping is just way too easy on a smartphone. I really should limit my time on the smartphone, really. So anyway, I'm excited about those coming. And then I'm going to be looking through this book today because I really have been wanting to knit something from this. This is the Matter Anthology 1 from Carrie Bostic Hogue. I'm not sure how to say her last name. This is a really nice book. Carrie designs a lot for Quince and Company. A lot of the yarns used in these patterns are Quince yarns, and I do have some Quince that I am itching to use. So I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to make yet, but there are some really great things in here. So I'm looking forward to that, picking something out. This is one of my favorite ones. But this is more of a scarf and a little less shawl. A little more scarf, less shawl. Maybe a little more like shawlette. And so I don't know if it's the right time of year to be making that. This one is similar, but it's a fingering weight. So that might be a little bit better for the summer. Also a favorite. So if you haven't checked out the Matter anthologies, there's a book 1 and a book 2. They're both fantastic. Recommend them. It might be fun to do maybe a Matter knit along. I always say that. I just don't know if I have enough of a following to do a knit along, but if any of you are interested in doing a knit along with me as your host, please leave a comment, and please comment. Just if you've seen this and there's something that appealed to you, that you liked it, that you didn't like it, for whatever reason, just don't give me a thumbs down. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Start a conversation. That's all I have to say about that. And that's all I have for you today. So thank you again for coming over and sitting with me. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you guys next Monday. So thanks again. Bye.